Now what we're going to do, let's take a bit of a deeper dive into it and find out what the Texans did with the picks that the Browns gave them in the Deshaun Watson trade, right? So to examine that, we had to wait it out and see exactly this year who they took with the picks that they gave them. And I'm going to be honest with you, this thing is a lot closer than people think. You would think that it would be a slam dunk. That this was going to be a situation where they really fleeced the Browns. But when you look at it and you take away the fact that they got CJ Stroud, and a lot of people believe that the CJ Stroud move was the Browns pick. They did not draft CJ Stroud with the Browns pick. They drafted CJ Stroud with their pick. So that's the thing that people want to talk about, and you think that they automatically won this trade, when in reality, if you go back in, and we're going to find out and look at now, that it was much closer than people definitely want to think about. Let's take a look at that. As for the Texans, they exhausted the last of their resources from the trade during the 2024 NFL draft this weekend when they used that aforementioned fourth-round pick in number 123 to select Ohio State tight end Cade Stover. As the rest of the picks, here's what they turned into for Houston. So let's go back to the 2022 pick. They got a first-round pick, which was number 13 overall. They ended up trading that pick to the Eagles as part of a deal to move back 2 spots. The Eagles used that pick on defensive tackle Jordan Davis, who doesn't play very much, while Houston select guard Kenyon Green. Okay, you got guard out of the deal. All right. And the 2022 fourth-round pick, which turned out to be number 107, they used to get running back Dameon Pierce. I like Dameon Pierce. He's a guy who I think is their lead back. So you got Dameon Pierce out of the deal. 2023 first-round pick, which is number 12 overall. They traded to the Cardinals as part of a deal to move up to the number 3 overall. Houston used Arizona's pick to select defense end Will Anderson. The Browns' original pick wound up being traded again to Detroit, which turned into Jahmyr Gibbs. So Will Anderson is a guy, they used the pick to get Will Anderson. He's a guy, defensive end. He's one of their better defensive players. So yeah, okay, cool. Got Will Anderson. 2023 third-round pick, number 73 overall. The Texans packaged this pick with a trade with the Rams to select receiver Tank Dell with the 69th overall pick. The Rams then traded the Browns pick to the Giants, who select Jalen Hyatt. So they ended up with Tank Dell with that pick. Tank Dell is a great ball player. I liked him. He did get injured at the end of the year, and he's been in some off the field issues. I think he ended up getting shot in the altercation in the club. So Tank Dell has some definitely have some upside. I think he's a great player. However, there's some downsides to him in injury. He did receive the injury, and he did have some off the field stuff. All right. 2024 first round pick, number 23 overall. Houston traded this pick to the Vikings, opting to move back to the second round. Minnesota wound up then trading that pick to the Jaguars, who select wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. As for the Texans, they chose cornerback Kamari Lassiter, pick number 42 in the second round, and linebacker Jamal Hill with a 6th rounder they received in Minnesota as well. Okay, I guess. 4th round pick in 2024 was number 123. Houston actually traded this pick to the Eagles, but it wound up coming back to them via the trade, and they used it to get Cade Stover. So the impact of the Watson trade on the Texans roster is vast. 2 years ago, they were a much different place than they are now, fresh off a season where they saw a blowout of the Browns in the wild card round of the playoffs. Players like Anderson, Dell, and even Pierce have been at the forefront of the franchise's quickest turnaround, as they also landed quarterback C.J. Stroud during that time frame. Now, listen, say what you want. Most of what their turnaround is by your boy C.J. Stroud, and he didn't get selected with the Browns pick. My takeaway from this is you got guys like Will Anderson, who's an up-and-coming defensive lineman. I like him a lot. I think he had 8 sacks or so his rookie year. Tank Dell is a guy, we talked about it, got some speed out of Houston, can move. He did get injured, and he does have some off the field issues, and Pierce is a nice running back. But if you look at it, I mean, this is why I always go back and when people start to be like, oh, this is the worst trade, this and that, and people want to move to hyperbole. When you go back and really look at it, I mean, yes, they got some pieces and parts, but by no means shape of the imagination that they came out and had all these Pro Bowlers, right? We'll see what they can do down the line. But from what I'm seeing, for the Cleveland Browns to get what they wanted to get, which is a franchise quarterback and a quarterback that now can be on the field right now, and if he plays well this year, the trade that trade can get erased in a heartbeat. If Deshaun Watson comes back and he's Deshaun Watson this year and plays all his games, the Browns are a playoff team, the Browns are a division caliber winner, I'll take that trade every day and twice on Sunday. Because all you did is give up Tank Dell, Will Anderson, and running back Pierce, right? And again, who did the Browns not be able to get because they did that draft, because they had made that pick? Nobody. They still was able to get Jerry Jeudy, still was able to go get an Amari Cooper, still was able to go get, they were still able to move and do how they want to do. So when people say this is the worst trade in history, I'm just throwing a bow on it and being like, okay, well, let's look at other trades that were garbage. We looked at that first segment. All right, well, let's look at what the Texans actually got for Deshaun Watson. We just did that. And so you have to come away saying, and this ain't nowhere near the worst trade in history. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much the going rate if you want to try to get a quarterback. And look at all these other teams and how they went maneuvered and were able to do and still, ended up way worse than what the Browns ended up as currently constituted. You let me know. Listen, who won the trade in the comment section below? Is it as big of a blowout as we like to think it is? Or is that trade a little bit closer, especially if you can get the Browns to play well and Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson this year?